Welcome everyone, Costin here with a discussion about Hades in Age of Mythology Retold. The single best Greek god in the game right now, one of the best gods in general, and certainly one god that you consider the very best in the game. Though I would not recommend playing Hades if you're a completely new player because you would be learning the wrong things, but the sheer amount of power he has is ridiculous. Even though he got something of a nerf in the recent patch, in particular in terms of his myth unit HP being reduced from 20% extra to 15%. It's still very powerful. Also Minotaurs being nerfed, all kinds of things, but still, Hades is really strong. Why is he so strong? Well, first off, he has the Sentinel ability. And Sentinel is really good because it gives you extra defenses around a town center. Your initial town center, you can make it stack. So that means that your initial town center, or any town center, can't easily be raided in the early game. This is a significant early game advantage because it allows you to focus on other things as opposed to, oh, is that enemy gonna harass me? Now, to be sure, if your villagers are going away for gold or for hunted animals, they're still gonna be vulnerable, but not having to worry about your initial town center as much is a fairly significant advantage. On top of that, you get the Vaults of Erebus, which give you a steady supply of gold, endless gold, that you can get from Age 1. You may not necessarily care to get it in Age 1, but it's still a fairly substantial advantage that Hades does have. Then, 1 in 5 soldiers, human soldiers, will return as shades. So 20% chance, 1 in 5 basically. Shades are not necessarily great units, but they're free units. So you lose soldiers in combat, some of them come back as shades, and you get some extra combat power for free as a result of that. Myth units 15% HP is very strong, especially with the myth units that he has, like the Nemean Lion for instance, or the Manticore, even the Cyclops and Minotaur. Like, all of these do benefit greatly from that extra HP. Ranged soldiers and heroes have 1 range, so you flat out have the best range in the game. Just being able to outrange your opponents is fairly significant. Range fortifications have +2 range, and then ballistics and burning pitch are researched instantly for free. Like, let's take a look at what those are. So ballistics saves you 200 wood, 200 gold over here, and 50 seconds of research time. It allows your ranged units and fortifications to fire more accurately against moving targets. And then burning pitch gives ranged soldiers and ships greater damage against buildings and ships. So that is pretty nice to have over there if you're going to use your archers right there to attack the enemy. But there is more. The selection of gods that he also has does suit his playstyle quite well. On one hand, in tier 2 you have Athena. Now Athena is a great god, an S tier god in a lot of ways. You have a healing capability that can be used either defensively or offensively. You have the Minotaur, which is a pretty strong unit. I mean, they did increase the cost. They have nerfed Athena somewhat, nerfed Sarissa, specifically the range of Sarissa, all that, increased the cost of Minotaurs, but still very strong choice. But if you're looking to play a long game, the choice you may want to go for would potentially be Ares. And the simple reason for Ares is you have the Bow of Horror. Now, the Bow of Horror gives you 10% extra damage on Toxicities. And they also fly more quickly, so increased accuracy if you want to view it like that. Or they'll arrive at the target faster. That is a fairly substantial benefit when you start combining it with other benefits that you can also go with as Hades. In Age 3, you either get Apollo, so you can use the Underworld passage to harass enemy. Now, a lot of the times I would say Apollo is not necessarily great compared to Aphrodite, but again, if you're looking to play in a particular way where you're just building defensively, playing defensively, and then just, trying to harass the enemy, it can be great. Or if you're playing a team game or a long game, like Hades is great both team games and 1v1s. Like, you look at Apollo, he has the Oracle, ability, so you can see what they're researching, what they're training over there. But very importantly for Apollo, you get the Temple of Healing. So those myth units with extra HP, like Minotaurs with extra HP, Cyclops with extra HP, they can heal quite a bit. And you also get the Sunray ability. So you already have an upgrade, 10% for Toxicities with Ares, and then you get an extra 10% with Apollo, if you go for him. But on the flip side, you could also go with Aphrodite. See, Aphrodite, really great god. 10% economic benefit over there here, more or less. Build work rate for town center, for building, all that. Carry more resources. But very importantly, you get an enemy alliance. Now, an enemy alliance can be a bit squishy, if you will. Now with Hades, with extra 15% HP. And consider the situation that Hades has. You're going to want to build range troops, right? Well, how about having a unit that flat out stuns the entire enemy army, or a substantial portion of the enemy army, stops them there in its tracks, and you bring your archers and you just completely obliterate the enemy army. That is the power that Hades does provide over there. Also, yeah, you get the Argo over there for Aphrodite. So significant level of power over here that you can get. Also, you can get 20% work favor benefit with the golden apples. Like, Aphrodite is ridiculously strong in that respect. Then for tier 4, we have Hephaestus and Artemis. Hephaestus is an understood quantity. He gives you a significant economic benefit with the Vault of Plenty, which combined with Aphrodite can literally print you money. He buffs your elite units, in the case of Hades, his crossbowmen that are better against buildings and of course are pretty solid against most human units as well. And then he can save you a ton of money with the Forge of Olympus. So if you're playing Hades and you decide to, okay, I'm gonna try and get to age 4 as quickly as possible, you can really benefit from the Forge of Olympus. Colossi, decent enough units, good durability, but not necessarily the greatest amount of damage. Just keep that aspect in mind. Also slow, very slow, which can be a problem. You can obviously use Underworld Passage to get them across the battlefield faster, but keep in mind the speed limitation that they do have. Or you can go with Artemis, who gives you Earthquake, does a ton of damage on the enemy base, and if they don't have the right upgrades, you might be able to either win the game or damage them so severely that you're going to win the game quickly thereafter. Then you have one of the best myth units in tier 4. General purpose, not necessarily specialized, but the Chimera is a very strong unit. It's strong against groups of enemies, it's strong in single combat. It gets the job done. And on top of that, you get Shafts of Plague. So your already powerful range units that Hades does have get even more powerful with this plague damage. Because not only does this increase the range attack damage by 10%, which can add up to 30% for Toxicities if you get, Ares, if you get Apollo, but also it does damage over time, divine damage over time, which is fairly significant. The reason this is significant is divine damage ignores armor. So that is a huge amount of power that you do have available over there. And also, you get Beast Slayer, which buffs your combat abilities against myth units. So if your opponent is throwing a lot of myth units at you, you can use Beast Slayer as a significant benefit to make them stronger in combat. Well, not more durable, but just being able to do more damage. I mean, we can talk about like Zeus having heroes that you can get cheaper, increase HP, but absolutely like that kind of damage buff is not something to ignore. Talking about heroes though, I have to say like Perseus is not really the best hero of the Greeks. Like Poseidon's Polyphemus, like yeah, he's slow, absolutely. He's slow, but he does a ton of damage. And then Bellerophon is the best hero in the game, like very mobile, high damage, decent durability. Perseus, not necessarily fast, not necessarily that durable, and the Medusa head that he does carry, yeah, it's useful in certain situations, but not all situations. So I would certainly say having Achilles, Chiron, and Ajax as heroes as Hades is certainly very strong over there as well. Just not the best tier 4 hero that you do have available. But that is Hades. Offers a huge amount of power if used properly, but have a care. If you're learning the game, try not to learn the worst lessons playing as Hades, because there's a bunch of bad lessons you can learn if you are playing him. Costin, signing out. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and enable notifications. Stay tuned for more.